Why does my webcam always go up that high? Anyways, another episode of The Ultimate Fighter down. Another American fighter down. Another, actually, well, somewhat of a... Actually, no, the fights this season have been fairly consistently good. But anyways, let's get down to the show recap. We had, first up, we had a little bit of talk about Jason Pierce going to fight David Faulkner. It's the two remaining welterweights. We finally get confirmation it was indeed Steve Berger that fought Jason Pierce. Jason Pierce apparently burst some blood vessels in his foot. Painful, and definitely painful if you keep kicking with it like an idiot. That goes down to a bit of instinct, though. It is hard to resist doing certain things. I didn't think Jason Pierce was much of a kicker, though, which is kind of makes it a little weird that he has that problem. But anyways, apparently it seems like Team USA is basically two teams. You have on one side Santino DeFranco, DeMarcus Johnson, Cameron Dollar, and Frank Lester, aka the downstairs room, and the upstairs room, Richie Whitson, who seems to actually be kind of like more middle, but still is not coming off as a douchebag. Mark Miller, Jason Dent and Jason Pierce. The downstairs room rides Jason Pierce a lot. To find this ironic, because we keep hearing this shit talking, and we hear it this time from Santino DeFranco. Mr. I get hit, I pull guard, I crawl up in the fetal position and get killed. I don't know how you can say anything after a performance that was that bad. Really, I don't get it. I don't. Sorry. I don't understand how you can get on Pierce that hard. For the record, Pierce does, seem like, he's not mentally dealing with this well. Or he's not a mentally strong person in general, or it's the situation breaking him down. And we see that at training. I mean, Dan Henderson has the right to say the guy's a bit of a mystery, and he's, I suppose right. He seems to have been a fairly serious training guy. He, kept it going against Berger, who's a good fighter, and didn't wilt when Berger did something. So he is a mystery. But people would bash Jason Pierce here. I have to ask this: you got Jason Dent, who is an intense motherfucker, who is a very, very serious fighter and very not into the social side of things. And he's defending Jason Pierce. Okay? And you have the guys who like to yap, Cameron Dollar, DeMarcus Johnson, who I respect. I particularly respect DeMarcus as a fighter. I think he is the best welterweight on the season. Santino DeFranco apparently and Frank Lester are the ones doing the yapping. It's hard to take what they're saying as the gospel, so to speak, because they like to yap. And you got a guy who trains with a good camp, who has been around fighters that have broken, and he doesn't seem to mind Pierce. And it's like, how do you... Well, basically, we're not getting... I think the edit is trying to make Pierce look bad just to keep Dollar and Johnson and so on from looking like massive, idiots. I don't like that. If they're being incredible douchebags and Pierce isn't earning this, I'd like to know it. Anyways, Richie Winston has impetigo. You'll recall that it's the same disease me, Chris, and Jeremy had when we grappled, because they got it from me. Because they grappled me when I had the crap on my neck, and that was impetigo. Anyways, Jason Pierce sprays everything. I found that kind of amusing. David Faulkner hits himself with a hammer. One of the many, many problems with the hammer. Andre Wimmer wrecks a mat. James Wilkes hits the floor. I don't think I've ever seen such a sloppily done hammer and tire drill. Then again, that is why you do those outside. So anyone who wants to do that, outside. So and he has some kind of infection off of it. They have yet to reveal what it was. They thought it was cellulitis, but apparently it's not cellulitis. So we'll see how that goes. That gives me a sneaking fear that Alex the Reednator Reed might come back to replace him. And that does really scare me. Really, really scares me as a possibility. Because you remember he got that big interview on the first episode, and a couple of us were wondering at that point, oh my God, is Alex Reed going to make Team UK, or is Alex Reed going to come back because they actually let him have FaceTime? I'm hoping it's not the case. That being said, it's kind of ironic. Both guys don't really want to fight each other, and they may actually both be injured to the point where they don't fight each other. That would be weird if both of them had to pull out. It looks more like they're trying to angle on Pierce, but I think that might be a red herring, and it's actually Faulkner who pulls out and Pierce fights. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, we get to the Coaches Challenge, which is tennis. Michael Bisping apparently has never played, and it shows. Dan Henderson seems to have some basics down and may have played tennis at some point in high school gym class, maybe. But neither. This is one of the worst Coaches Challenges ever. I mean, we've had some bad ones. I mean, the soccer one between Nog and Mir was not very good. And we've had some other lopsided ones, i.e. Shamrock, Pool Hustler, and Forrest Griffin, White Man Can Jump, and Rampage Jackson, Black Man Can't Jump, which I found always amusing, that when it gets to basketball, the black coach loses. Not to be racist, I'm just saying, it was ironic. Were some of the other ones. We had ping pong with BJ Penn Pulver, which was actually good because both of them were oddly, like, you know, semi-skilled at ping pong, which was weird. Anyways, moving on. There's bowling in there between Sarah and Hughes as well. But moving on, we get the fight pick. Actually, we have we have the fight pick, which is Richie Whitston versus Ross Pearson, picked by the UK. Which is, again, I don't like how one team picks every matchup for the weight class. It makes the pick so much, you know, not so important. Richie Winston has a birthday, they get cake, Cameron Dollar has a mental breakdown and cries, which I find ironic for the guy who I hit all these women. I am the greatest. I am the cool man. Pierce is a bitch. Wah! I'm not saying you can't cry. I'm saying if you're in a shit talk, that's probably not the best thing to do. Anyways, onwards to the fight. There was some brief talk if Pierce couldn't fight, what would happen? Presumably it would be Mark Miller if it's someone on the team, or they would bring someone else in. I don't know. I suppose that would be the same for Faulkner. I suppose they would bring in Dean Amasanga to fight in his place. What else was there? Okay, and then we just basically get to the fight. Ross doing what Ross does. He got the better of the exchanges, but not to a great degree. He didn't go all balls out pit bull though, which was kind of weird. Which is kind of a good thing actually, because I thought that was one thing that, you know, fighters could probably use against him. The right fighters. I mean, you know, aggression. Some fighters are really weak to the, you know, the massive balls out aggression. Some aren't, and if that's really your only thing. But Pearson showed control, some technical striking, took him down twice. Richie got pretty much back up the first time. He was working somewhat of a guillotine. I'm not even sure if Ross was really wanting to go for a takedown that time. It's just that he didn't seem to have much defense for the guillotine, and he slammed him to get side control. And then he takes him down again, gets his back, works a couple punches, and sinks in an armbar after a filled rear naked choke. Very nicely done. Ross showed a lot this fight, and I think this kind of shows what I've been saying all along about Richie, and people have been constantly arguing with me about is he's not that good yet. He has some basic skills, some basic tools that you can't teach, i.e. mental toughness, and a little bit of aggression, and that's a good start. And he seems to be reasonably athletic, and well, I guess that's about it. And he has heart. But those are the skills you need to have. But he has a lot of the skills that he needs to learn, basically. Anyways, Ross is through. We got